I'd like to welcome all of our listeners to Scale, where we talk about go to market strategies and tactics with founders, co founders, chief revenue officers, and I'm your host, Mark Pecaro. Today, we have an exciting guest, Ryan Wiese, chief revenue officer at Netenrich. Well known in the Bay Area, across cyber, and in the US and North America. I'd like to welcome you, Ryan, to Scale. Ryan, and in your own words, let's hear a little story about you. Give us a quick introduction on who Ryan Wiese is.
Oh man, that's a loaded question. Thank you, Mark, first off for having me. I'm excited to be here. Who Ryan Wiese is? Again, I'd say I'm a man of faith first, a father, a husband. Happen to be a tech sales executive as well. I guess that's my day job. But again, I'm all about my family, my faith, my friends. You're a big part of that, right? And again, I wake up every day excited to go to work, but also excited to spend time with my family as well.
Good man, and happy to be a part of you and your family and your journey. I see some memorabilia up there on the shelf.
Yeah.
Amazing. Let's hit some of that. Where'd you go to college?
I went to Oklahoma State University and the greatest college town in America, Stillwater, Oklahoma. Third generation Oklahoma State. My parents met there. My grandfather went there when it was called Oklahoma A&M. So from birth, it was in my blood, and so I ended up there as well.
Amazing. And what am I looking at that top shelf on some of the pieces that you have?
Oh man, so there's Pistol Pete. So that's Oklahoma State's mascot. I did get my MBA from UNC, Chapel Hill. So that's Ramsey. Photo of my wife and I in Hawaii, hiking, Oklahoma State football. This is an interesting piece from the Taj Mahal, actually in Agra, India. The descendants from the Taj Mahal made that, built that. Their descendants acquired that for us. Let's see, basketball. Coach Mike Boynton, former coach Oklahoma State. He does a little camp. So I went to his camp one time. This you probably can't tell because of the light, but that's a championship belt. Won a member guest tournament here in Austin, Texas, at the Barton Creek DKR tournament. So a bunch of little tchotchkes, little fun stuff, mostly about sports and my family and stuff like that.
Good memories and things that get you motivated and passionate about each day.
And a few
Love it.
books for good measure.
There you go. We'll come back to books later on what you've recently read or what you're reading. For the audience, and in your own words, Ryan, how'd you get started in your career?
Oh, wow. So I wanted to go to law school. So I was at my last year at Oklahoma State and was studying for the LSAT and was going to go to law school. And just over time, I just got tired of school. I wanted a break. So more than anything, I said, well, I'll just go get a job, figure out a couple years and then go back to law school. You can always go back to school, right? And my best friend from college, who were fraternity brothers, was working for Cisco Systems out in North Carolina, part of a training program. And he said, "Hey, you need to come here. You need to work here." I had no clue what Cisco was. I didn't know anything about tech. Didn't know anything. I'm just this kid from Oklahoma, a small town. Like I didn't know anything about this. But he had a good sales pitch, and he flew out there to interview and met some great people and got an opportunity to join Cisco. Got super lucky. I started my career there alongside you over 20 years ago now. Not to date us too much. There's definitely more gray in us than back then, but got lucky. Started at Cisco, had a great run there. I always feel like, working for a big company, you get good fundamentals. You kind of see what good looks like, great leadership, and had a great run. And then I left about 10 years ago now and joined kind of the startup and high growth companies and never looked back.
Amazing start. Good company. You talk startups.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you or intrigued you the most about the startup world?
Again, I think naturally I'm a builder and I'm a problem solver. And I just think in a startup, you got to wear many hats. Every day is different. Something's always on fire, right? And so you gotta do different things. But also when you win, it's more meaningful, right? When you're at Cisco and big companies, you expect to win, right? You just expect to win. It's just part of your DNA. It's part of your when you wake up, you're gonna go close business and win deals. When you're a startup, it's harder. It's way harder, but it's more fulfilling. So when you do win, it's just more gratifying. So I just fell in love with it, and I just fell in love with the people. You've got all many people that want to solve problems, want to roll up their sleeves and get things done. Their work ethic is just different. It's a different, I guess, muscle in the startup world. I just fell in love with it. Sometimes I joke, man, I should have joined AWS or I should have gone to CrowdStrike or I should have gone to Palo. Like that would have been the easy button, right? And those are all good companies and they had big growth parts of their career, but I just was wired differently. I was wired to go build, wired to chase the chaos, and it's been wonderful.
Yeah, and you've grown tremendously. You've worn many hats. How did you find cyber security?
So my first pure cybersecurity company was a company called Deepwatch. I joined there about almost 5 years ago now. I joke that I've always had cybersecurity use cases. Cisco certainly had security products and firewalls and stuff like that. Then I joined a company called Blue Cat. They're an enterprise software company, critical infrastructure. Again, a lot of security teams, owned our product and were the buyers there. So they were use cases, but it was more networking, more critical infrastructure. So Deepwatch was the first pure cyber company I joined, and it's a different community. It's very small. It's very niche. Everyone knows everybody. There's a handful of resellers that are really good at what they do. So you can kind of be more well known in cybersecurity than in traditional probably data center networking, things like that. So again, whole career had cybersecurity use cases, but specifically cyber just really the last 5 years.
And today you're at Netenrich. How would you explain, maybe to your mom, what you do at Netenrich?
Mom, okay. Well, first off, I don't know if she can probably spell it, the Netenrich, but mom, how I'd explain it is we work with large companies to protect bad guys from getting inside the company. That's the simplest way. Is again, in most cybersecurity companies, you're trying to protect the bad guys from getting in. So we do that. We help large organizations really manage their security operations center, provide outcomes for our customers. That's the simplest way I explain it.
Now, explain that to a colleague or a prospect, maybe at a dinner party or a networking event.
I always ask about, how understaffed they are and how many tools they have and how much noise they have, right? No CISO has not enough tools. They have way too many tools, way too many point products. They're really trying to get an outcome. They're really trying to get value out of all these cybersecurity tools that they have, and it's really, really difficult. So that's where we come in, right? We can help consolidate the noise, consolidate the tools, become an extension of your team, and really provide the outcome that you're looking for, which is again protect your organization from bad stuff from happening. So that's how I explain it to a colleague or potentially a partner that's talking to CISOs and security operations centers. Is again, you probably have way too many tools, way too much noise, too many alerts coming in, not enough people to respond. Bring us in.
Amazing. And this is your third or fourth cybersecurity company. What is unique about Netenrich?
Well, the biggest unique thing I think that's so rare right now in cybersecurity and startups for that matter is that we've taken $0 from venture capital, zero. So it's been 100% bootstrapped. They've been around 20 years. They've already had one successful exit, sold a digital ops part of the business to HPE, and really since COVID, been focused on cybersecurity and built a world-class security operations platform. We were doing agentic AI before using a buzzword multiple years ago. But it's a startup within a mature company with no venture capital. So I think that's the most unique thing out there. And I've seen that world really the last 5 years. It just, venture capital, it's great to have access to it, but it comes with additional pressure and end of quarter and board impatientness and maybe expectations that are unrealistic, especially as a seller, right? AEs are coming to these cyber companies. They have way too high of quotas, unrealistic goals. It's really, really difficult. And I think some of that VC pressure and noise is part of that. So this company doesn't have any of that. So I think that's super rare. And then the culture, like again, we've got people that have been here for 20 years. Our COO has been here 18 years. A guy who works for me on my team, VP of sales for North America, 15 years. Started as like a help desk guy and grown throughout his career. Now he's a fantastic sales leader. A guy who runs channels alliances, 15 years. So you just don't find that anymore in cyber. People sticking around for that long. So I think it speaks to the culture and really the leadership and the mission that we're trying to do.
Certainly the culture and the depth of expertise and craft and that institutional knowledge.
Yes.
Let's talk about the channel or the ecosystem in your space. How do you think about the ecosystem in your new role as Chief Revenue Officer over at Netenrich?
I mean, I think it's just pivotal for our growth, right? I think there's no way we can scale and grow without the channel. I've always been channel first. It's in my DNA, in my blood, in my mindset. And Netenrich is, they're most of their tenure has been working through channel partners, and our company has white labeled services for some of the biggest and largest partners on the planet, really. So it's in our DNA, but that traditional reseller motion, we got to build that and get that. We've got some good partners today that are leaning in, and we really got to leverage them for scale. So I've always thought, again, that's the way to grow an organization is through the channel. Again, I don't have headcount to go hire 100 AEs. Even if I did, I'd still want them to leverage the channel, get their mind share. Because again, it's probably easier to get a deal done with a CISO with a channel partner that already sells all the CrowdStrike, already sells all the Palo, already sells all the Zscaler, knows procurement inside and out, is golfing buddies with the SOC director. I mean, that sounds like a pretty good guy to know to get your solution in the door, right? And so, regardless of how many people I have, be it 5 or 500, I still need the channel.
Speed to getting into accounts, speed to processing deals. Love it. Let's talk about building sales teams.
Mm-hmm.
You have a sales team there at Netenrich. You've got other experience at previous organizations, rebuilding or building. What are some of the lessons that you've learned at multiple stops around building sales teams?
Wow. I'd say, and I hate to admit this, but I've missed more often than I've hit. And again, I think that's just cyber in general and startups in general. The last 5 years, it's been crazy. That's why you see all these profiles with 12 to 18 month stints and 6 month stints. It's just the nature of the beast, which is unfortunate. A lot of really good people you hire just don't turn the corner. And I don't think all that's their fault, by that matter. I think again, it's that pressure, that external circumstances sometimes get good people. But I'd say what I've learned is be very, very, very clear and specific with your hiring profile. Stick to your guns. Make sure you don't bend a little bit to get a body in the door that can eat a quota. Make sure you really, really are clear and specific with your hiring profile, and you got to nail it, right? Because again, now that we're building this out here at Netenrich, we've got some heads to fill and we've got some scale. I actually just got off a call with a really good recruiter friend of mine. But we got to nail these, because I can't go hire 16 people in the next 3 months. I got to hire a handful, and they have to work, right? And so I'd say it's nail the hiring profile, be patient. If you can, go see people face to face, right? I hired a lot of people during COVID. Didn't really get to shake their hand, look them in the eye. And probably wouldn't have hired certain people if I had that opportunity to really look them in the eye, shake their hand, get a good feel for them if they're good culture fit. I think culture fit's really, really important. So if you can, go to them, have them come to you, really vet them out, do back channeling, make sure you get references, make sure you get working through the channel. I go to my channel partners. Hey, we're looking to hire this person. What do you think? What does your team think? Do they want to work with that person? So doing a lot of your homework on the back end, that's super important as well. Don't take that for granted.
You kind of certainly have a method and a system. If there's growing account executives that are watching this or listening to this and working their way up, from mid-market and enterprise, building out that profile to interview with CROs like yourself, what would you tell them to focus on? What in their hiring profile specifically do you look for when you're hiring enterprise candidates?
I love stability. Again, me and you are a great example of this. We started our career at Cisco and had a long, successful run there. No one stays 11 years anywhere anymore, right? I stayed 11 years at Cisco. And should I stay at 11 years at Cisco? Maybe not. Maybe not, but I did. And that stability, that track record of performance is rare to find these days. So what I'd encourage AEs, or really any person in the field, is find a good job, good company, good fundamentals that you can continue to grow and develop, a good leadership, good coaching. Hopefully you're making good money, and stay, right? Don't jump around and chase something. If you're continuing to grow and develop, if you're at a company and you're no longer able to grow or develop, then look. But again, if you aren't making, $1 million a year and you think you can go get that at a startup, you probably can, but it's very rare. It's very rare to do that. So again, find a good company, stick it out, continue to grow and develop, and then when you don't, then look for the next challenge. But I really look for that. I look for companies, large cybersecurity companies, even some traditional networking, data center, SaaS, cloud companies that have been around a while. I like seeing an anchor job, somewhere where they grew and developed, saw what good looks like, had good fundamentals, then yes, they want to go to the startup world, because not everyone's for startup world. I would never hire someone that probably only had big company experience. That'd be a risk. But if they had 5 years of big company experience and they're about ready to take off in their career, yeah, I want that profile, as long as they want to build and really have that hunter mindset that to earn it and grow and develop and grind. That guy I want, or girl I want. But the someone that's been there for 25 years and never done a startup, no chance. So it's unique. That's why it's back to nailing that profile, sticking to that, and making higher decisions based off that.
Nice. You like the foundation, the balance, and that grit and passion that I'm hearing you say.
For sure.
Crazy things happen in the field. Doing deals, prospecting, hiring, sales kickoff, fun things, especially in startup world. What
Hmm.
is for the listeners? What's the craziest? What's the craziest thing you've seen or observed in the field?
There's a lot of crazy stuff, but I'd say what gets me every time is end of quarter magic. It's a real thing, right? It's a real thing where a deal is dead, has no shot, and somehow it breathes life, or something happens, or a partner gets it unstuck somewhere. But I'd say end of quarter magic is to me just crazy. I mean, my last company, we had a wild end of quarter in our end of Q4. We broke every record known to mankind, but there was 3 or 4 deals that were literally on life support that weren't happening, that somehow did happen. And I just think miracles happen in the quarter. Good things happen to good people, as long as you're on the right play and you get you're aligned well, you got good executive alignment, things will come in. But I'd say just end of quarter magic's crazy to me how that still happens every time. From a personal perspective, again, I think people still buy from people. So having really good relationships, building that trust, building those relationships, going face to face, building rapport, having some good executive alignment, that stuff really matters. And especially over Zoom, a lot of things, everything's virtual these days. Like, again, it's hard to build that connection. So I do think crazy stuff happens when people can trust you and have a relationship with you and have met you. It's easier for them to bend over backwards when they've had that. And so I think I guess it's not crazy, but some people don't do that anymore. So that's crazy to me. Go meet your customers, go meet your prospects, go meet your partners, build really good relationships with people, because they'll want to go, do a favor for you when you need it. And oftentimes that's at an end of quarter.
End of quarter magic is when it happens. It's every leader's most adrenaline pumping part of the quarter, and hopefully you get to repeat it every quarter. And most leaders and teams and companies do. That's awesome. Things get wrong. What do most or what do some people maybe get wrong about the cyber field, or what do they get wrong about the role as chief revenue officer, or even just head of sales or sales leader?
I'd say what people get wrong about cyber is, it's whenever I tell someone what I do, like, oh, I work in cybersecurity, their immediate reaction is, oh, that's awesome. That's a booming field, or that's great, or that's real relevant. I'm like, yeah, that's all true. But people think it's like easy because it's well known, or people are investing in it, or it hits news headlines, or someone got hacked, or there's malware, or this or that. Like, people think because it's such a big deal and it's a buzzword that it's easy. It's way harder than I think I ever thought. So I think that's what people don't get wrong about it. This is not easy. I mean, you look at most cyber companies, most SaaS organizations, like 40% are hitting quota, right? So if it was easy, you'd flip that, right? And so it's not. This is very difficult. It can be very rewarding, certainly, but it's hard. It's a lot harder than people think. So I think that's what people get wrong. And I'd say what people get wrong about maybe the CRO role, um, you've got to be very clear with your expectations of your team. I think if people don't understand the goals, objectives, their expectations, their metrics, their activity, their comp plan is another big one we could probably talk about. It's really hard for them to be successful, right? So setting very clear expectations with your team, I think, is what a lot of CROs get wrong, because they take that for granted, that they know what they should be doing. So I think that's one. And the second thing is you've got to work really well across the aisle with marketing, with RevOps, with product management, with operations, with finance, right? There's a lot of, I call it internal negotiations, and working with your peers and your executive team to get stuff done. If you don't do that well, or don't do that effectively, you can't communicate the why, you're gonna struggle. So I think, a really good CRO is also probably a really good politician, right? So if you could do that well, if you should maybe look at going to politics.
A moment ago, you mentioned talking with other teams, aligning with other functions inside the organization to communicate and share, and also expectations of your team. Give us a tip. Give us an activity, which is a tip that you practice daily, weekly, or monthly to help bring that cohesivity, bring that team together where you are setting expectations with marketing, the founders, the field. What is an actual activity, one of them, look like from you on how you execute that?
Giving a task to someone and then just assuming it gets done is maybe the worst thing you can do, right? So I guess a task I do is just regular check-ins. It could be a Slack message. Hey, are we on top of this? Need anything from me? You said we were going to hit this milestone or do this. How are we tracking? Well, just real quick internal check-ins. I do that regularly on certain things because, again, people get busy, people get distracted, and may fall off, and you can't just assume something's going to. So as simple as that is, Mark, but I'd say that's one that is just internal collaboration communication. It can be a really effective text or a Slack or phone call, and that typically works. People also want to hear from people, right? So again, I think that's another thing. When Ryan calls or Ryan Slacks, hey, what's he had to say? Maybe he can help, or maybe I should get back to him. It's just effective.
Love that. Cyber in the industry, you said folks think come up to you and say, that's a booming space. Let's spend a little bit of time there. Trends in cyber, and then you have AI. Obviously, came out gangbusters 2.5 to 3 years ago, and now we're seeing this wave of application and it being used.
Mhm.
But let's talk about what are some of the cyber trends? What's top of mind for the CISOs that you're talking to?
Again, I think it's back to that CISO that has 75 different tools and he's trying to get value out of all of them and justify the spend. So I think a big trend is consolidation, tool consolidation, vendor consolidation, doing more with less. If you look at Google, for example, and we're a Google partner, but no one's making bigger moves and strategic moves in cyber than Google. Right? If you look at Google now, they have got SIEM, SOAR, threat intel, cloud. They've got all the stuff bundled in now in their SecOps platform, right? So you kind of get 4 or 5 things in one now, where it used to have, I have to have a SIEM, I have to have a SOAR, I have to have threat intel, I have to have CNAPP, I have to have all these different tools from 5 different vendors. Maybe you can get it all now with Google. So you can see, I see that trend right now, consolidation, not only in vendors acquiring other companies, but buyers consolidating their spend. So that's a big trend. And again, I think the talent, the people talent is difficult, especially with work from home, hybrid workforce. Not everyone wants to go into SOC every day. No one wants to go to an office every day, eyes on glass. Like that's been a trend for a while. But to find the best security talent out there is hard. So you come to companies like Netenrich that can help manage some of those outcomes for you. We can solve the people problem, the process problem, the technology problem, and really provide a managed outcome for you. That's a huge trend in managed services in general. So I think those are the big ones. I don't think many CISOs, many IT budgets are growing. No one's getting more budget, more people, right? So how can you do more with less? How can AI take over? Back to your AI question. Can AI do some of these things? Can you augment certain workflows, automate certain tasks? Yes. That's again why you have companies like us help, is we've been doing this for years. We've got the workflows down. We've got the automation done. We've got again, back to my earlier comment, we've been doing agentic AI for years before it even was a buzzword, right? So certain companies have been living and breathing this stuff and providing real value to their customers. So if you can't do it, then bring in a partner who can help. So I think that's a trend as well.
How you highlighted what Google's doing and then tying in Netenrich to that as a strategic partner.
Mhm.
Amazing. Where can the listeners and audience find you?
Well, currently I'm at home in Austin, Texas, which is wonderful. It's a rare occasion, especially lately. But typically, I'm on the road seeing customers, partners, prospects. We're headquartered in San Jose, so I'm in San Jose often. I meet with my leadership team and some of our key customers. And Google is a big partner of ours. They're out in the Bay Area, so I'm typically on the road. I'm typically going somewhere to hopefully drive some value and close some deals. If I'm not doing that, then I'm here in Austin, Texas. About ready to escape the heat to go to the mountains for 4th of July and see some friends and family. So you'll find me in the Smoky Mountains pretty soon.
Amazing. And where can folks go to find more information about Netenrich?
There's a thing called the internet, so you can Google, leverage Google. You could you could type in Google Partners, Adaptive MDR, and probably find us that way. Or you can go to netenrich.com. There's some pretty good case studies, some information, some videos about what we do, and really I always learn from customer stories. So there's some really good information there on what we've done for our customers, some of the value that we're providing. So if you're interested, go read some of those case studies. Don't take my word for it. Take a customer's word for it.
Amazing. Well, the audience will go and do that. Enjoy your time in the Smoky Mountains. It's been a delight and a pleasure to have you, to hear from you, to sit down with you, to have you unpack some of those learnings, the wisdom, the trends, things that you're seeing currently as we head into the summertime. With that, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you again for joining, and that's a wrap.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.